What's up everyone, Town from the Airsoft headquarters here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another special video. Like most of my videos, they're always going to be something special, but what's special about this is not only is this one of my favorite brands, is that it is also so close to being an anniversary video. So if anyone is not familiar with the channel, and it's been a long time anyway, but I made a overview video about this T10, which is my personal T10. And I posted this last year, August 7th. And as of the time of recording, this is August 13th. So close to one perfect calendar year, so close to one anniversary from the first model to technically the third model, but the second iteration of the same basic platform. So we're gonna be doing a overview of this guy in the newer format. So with this newer format, I'm just going to give you guys the information right away. So with the KWA T10, the AEG3 electric recoil gun, the ERG, it is going to have a weight of 7.4 or 7 pounds 4 ounces. It is going to have a retracted length of 21.25 inches, an extended length of 32.25 inches, a velocity of 420 feet per second, and we're going to break that down later. Inner barrel length of 11 3/4 inches, a handguard length of 11 1/2 inches, and a magazine that is a 120 round mid-cap magazine coming in the box with it. And those are just the blanket features of this rifle specifically. If you would like to learn more about the rifle and break down as far as those externals and internals and some of those performance features, continue on here. But otherwise, if you just want that general information, it's already out of the way. So what we're doing is we're gonna break this down. So with the KWA T10, this has been a favorite of mine specifically since I was able to get it from day one. I mean, like, even before I got the T10, day one of even holding it at SHOT Show 2020, going to the KWA booth and going, wow, this looks better than some of the real rifle company booths. So KWA was absolutely professional, top notch, even compared to real rifle booths at SHOT Show. They had some of their newer products that were coming out, such as the T10 and the Ronin 47. And they also had some newer models that are still yet to be released, but we're not focusing on that. But I held and dry fired the T10, held the Ronin 47, but didn't shoot it. And both of those models, I was like, whew. I said to Carl, I shouldn't have held these because now I need them. And yeah, I got them. So I got the T10, the very first batch that we ordered back in August, because what had happened was we had COVID issues, obviously, and then we were delayed as far as getting them. So we got them in, and then we have them here, or we received them, and then we did all of our fun stuff. We did some of our shooting stuff with them, and I've kind of modeled this guy out to be more of a competitive base of rifle specifically. I even went to the length of installing a gate titan inside of here because these gearboxes specifically from KWA are one of the first ones of their rifle series to be modeled to fit gate titan MOSFETs, not the Asters. I've already tried installing an Aster into here and I couldn't get it to work and it doesn't fit. So you are restricted to just the Titan. So I have this guy set up and I have done a couple of videos with it that are posted onto the channel. I have not done any gameplay about this one specifically. Other rifles have just gotten a little bit higher priority, but I do hope to run this at an upcoming Milsim event pretty soon here. So we'll have that to look at. And obviously the Ronin 47 back behind me, which was so smooth. I loved it. I think it's the perfect SR47 style, which is going to be an AR control but take AK style of magazines. I think it's perfect for airsoft, and I have some gameplay videos of that guy specifically. But we're not here about those two. We're here for this guy specifically. Before this guy came out, we had the T10 Special Edition, the T10 SE, which was the Titan with it was the T10 with a Gate Titan pre-installed, and it had a Cerakote gray upper receiver and rail system and had a gray stock to complement it as well. So it was a little bit more beefed up, had a little bit better of performance base of internals inside of there. I personally didn't go with the special edition. I just got the T10 and installed the Titan for myself. It was a little bit cheaper overall, but factoring in the cost of labor, it came out to about the same. But because I was installing it, there's no labor cost. And now we have the Kiwi T10 in FDE. Well, really, it's not all FDE. It's got some black accents to it, which I really, really like. I overall love the aesthetic of having a tan base of rifle and then having black accents on it. I think that's a very cool overall look. I tried to do something very similar with the 416 behind me, but it's that bronze coloration and not the flat dark earth, which I really like the color tone of this guy specifically, and it's just one of my favorite rifle systems overall. So this is what we have. Breaking down the overall externals is going to go something like this. We're going to go tip to butt. We're going to go over this pretty quick, so hang on there. We have the metal anodized orange flash hider that does remove, and it is a small little screw on the bottom side here that you put your screw inside of here, loosen that up, and it'll come right off. No need to heat it up or anything. We have the 11-inch handguard with M-lock on the 3, 6, 9 o'clock positions. It has a 4-slot Picatinny on the very bottom part of the rail system, and on the 45 degrees of all the rail system, it has very large cutouts in order to make it a little bit more lightweight, especially coming in at 7 pounds 4 ounces. They shaved down as much weight as possible. They even took a bunch of cuts from the very top of the rail system, which has those Picatinny rail slots, so very easy to install whatever pick boxes, flashlights, lasers, whatever you want on the very top there. Very easy. These guys on the side here and on the very bottom are going to be M-lock standardized at this point, so you can get M-lock to Picatinny rail adapters. They have a 3-screw lug mounting system, and then they actually have little wings that mount and hold on to the sides of the upper receiver, so you don't get any type of wobble here as you continue to play with it and do that C-clamp like I have here. So on this model specifically of my T10, I prefer to do that C-clamp so I can have a pressure pad in order to illuminate that flashlight, make it super easy. But because of the attachments or accessories that they put onto the rail system, it's not going to work itself loose. So very, very cool, especially cranking on this a little bit harder. It's not going to work loose on you. So I really, really, really like that about these Kiwi rifles specifically. Loose handguards have been an issue on other brand of rifle systems, so great that these are really tight. They have a metal barrel. They have a imitation gas block, and it's just imitation. It's there just for looks, for that cool factor, for those aesthetics. So you can remove that if you really want to, but because it doesn't have any function and it's not in the way of anything, you're gonna be just fine with it staying there. We have the metal upper and lower receiver. On the top of the upper receiver, we do have the PTS iron sights, those flip ups, and then we do have the front iron sight farther up front there. These are just going to be basic flip downs, just push them down. It's not any type of button release. These are going to be a polymer construction. It's not the metal, but these are going to be very similar to the Magpul polymer. So very, very heavy duty, especially paired with these higher end airsoft ones. I really like the pattern on the iron sights that go and match with the rest of the pattern systems that they have on here, which is the rest of the PTS furniture. So really like that they come with those. A dual or an ambidextrous charging handle, so left or right, you can pull that down. Pulling that down is going to show the rotary style pop-up unit, which is one of the better hop-up units overall within Airsoft. You get more consistency to that BB flight path, or the pressure of the BB, or the pressure on the top of the BB to deliver that backspin. You can hit the bottom part of that slide release or the bolt release, press that down, and that actually holds the window open. So while you're on the field, you have different rated BBs, load those in, and you do shot, shot, shot. You can readjust your hop-up unit, shot, 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 readjust, instead of having to pull that bolt back every time, make those adjustments, shoot, make those adjustments. It gets really annoying, so they just implemented that feature to make it a little bit easier for you. The dust cover is plastic. Was it plastic on the original one? It was plastic on the original one. Not a whole lot of companies are making this plastic. I could have sworn that this one was metal on here, but I guess it is still plastic. It hasn't worn down on me at all with this guy, so it's still going to work for you, even out of that plastic material. I suspect that they made it plastic just due to easier manufacturing, lower cost material overall. So it still works for me. I've had no issues with my plastic one on here. So I don't foresee any type of issues with any other players. The lower receiver overall is going to be, and then that light just went out. So the lower receiver is going to be a right hand base of control system. Now the selector switch is going to be ambidextrous, and that is one of the only ambidextrous controls on the lower receiver that we have. And we have on the right hand side the longer selector switch, so it's easier for people to wrap their thumbs around, go from say semi to full auto and just wrap it all the way around, compared to the left hand selector switch, which is going to be the shorter one. And I know that can be a little bit harder for people, especially with the longer one. It does catch on your pointer finger, and that can be an issue, especially if you're wearing gloves. Adding that extra girth around your fingers. These are going to be flippable. So there is a very small set screw on the inside here that you can loosen up and swap the long to the short one if you really wanted to. But that is going to be a very specific size, and it's not going to come in the box with anything. So just be aware of that. Magazine release. It's a standard AR style magazine release. Slide that in, and then it just slides out. Nothing on the other side for anyone that's going to be left-handed. The trick that I have specifically, if I'm shooting a right-hand base of rifle left-handed, is I will grab the magazine with my right-hand fingers here, hit that magazine release, and then just pull that magazine out. That's the only thing that I have. And then the bolt release, which is going to be on the left-hand side of the receiver. But within Airsoft, that really doesn't do much of anything as far as the function of the rifle. So it's of no big concern, but it's not ambidextrous. So the trigger down here is going to be the old school KW way. I like those because they are a little bit smoother on the edges compared to some of the other mil-spec style of triggers from other companies. Do tend to be a little bit more squared off. So I think that these personally are going to be a little bit more comfortable, just my personal opinion. And then what is unique about these is that they do have a heavier trigger pull. Now they are not going to break like a real rifle, where you are putting pressure onto a wall and then that wall breaks. It is just a smooth applied force for the entire length of pull, and then one quick shot. And then you can hear it reset right there. So there's a little bit of a wall, but it's an audible wall. It's not a mechanical wall. So if you guys can maybe zoom in. So I just slowly apply force, shot. And then there's no release of pressure on the trigger like a real rifle trigger would. So even though you can hear that there is a wall of those contacts internally resetting, a little bit different, especially since people will utilize these for training purposes. That is a different type of mechanical feature that they will need to get used to. So just keep that in mind. Going further down, just below the trigger, we do have a polymer trigger guard, so that can get swapped out for some of the cooler, nicer ones if you guys really feel like it. But it's worked well enough on my T10, that I haven't felt the need to change it out. So we have that there. The PTS Enhanced Polymer Grip Compact, the EPG-C. This is unique because it holds the grip at a little bit more vertical of an alignment compared to the enhanced model, which has a little bit of a beaver tail back here. and puts the hand in a slightly more canted grip. So this just allows for the profile to be a little bit more streamlined, so you can keep everything really nice and tight, and then it's a little bit easier for outdoors compared to the beaver tail, which I personally think is a little bit more comfortable, and is just a little bit more relaxed of a grip. But it eventually just comes down to personal preference. I have no issues with the compact grip. In fact, it has remained on my T10. So if you guys like that and you like the checkering style on the side here, which is very smooth overall, it's not going to dig into your skin and create any type of blisters or stuff like that. So it'll be nice to have some point of friction on there, especially if you guys do get sweaty outdoors. You can just help get a little bit more control over your rifle system. That's what we have there. Going farther back, we do have a left and right hand sling mounting system attached to a metal buffer tube, and on the buffer tube is the PTS enhanced stock, the EPS. Yep, EPS. A lot of acronyms. What is cool about this is that the back part here is rubber, but it's the rubber checkered pattern, so it will dig into your clothing and it will hold friction there, compared to some of the other types of stocks that are going to be all polymer backing, can rotate and just slide out of your shoulders really easily. So I like these stocks a lot. And then the second greatest thing about these stocks is the fact that the side compartments here are large enough to hold lithium-ion batteries. So your Titan Lions will fit in here, no problemo. That's what I prefer to run for battery types anyway. So you probably have noticed that a lot of my stocks are a little bit larger to just fit those batteries. So that's what we have there. It is a 6-position stock that conveniently actually has a little hinge on the very top part here, so you don't have to slap the back plate. It'll just hinge and slide into place. You have a quick detach sling mount here, and you also have the old school lanyard loop on the very bottom here for your 2-point sling, or however you want to run it. And that is what we have for the externals. Internally, this is going to be one of the newer builds of KWA. Specifically, this is part of the AEG3, which is their electric recoil base of guns. They also have their AEG 2.5s, which they don't make in the T10 length, but they have in a 6-inch barrel. The AEG 2.5 is an adjustable velocity gearbox, so super convenient for anyone that wants to have a full metal rifle and also have one spring to run indoors or outdoors. So you don't have to change it out or even have 2 different rifle setups. That I really like as well. Internally of the T10, with that electric recoil system, there is your AEG spring, your copper weight, and then a smaller spring. You know what? Instead of describing it, let me just go get our display. All right. So internally, this is going to be the buffer tube assembly that sits right about here. So we have the AEG spring, which is 1 set tension. We have the entire weight assembly, which is, very extensive in and of itself, very heavy. I think this comes in at 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. And then we have our buffer spring. So that's what catches the weight before it bottoms out against the very back of the buffer tube, which the very back of the buffer tube actually does screw off. So you can make it a quick change system just by removing that buffer tube plate and pulling everything out, which would lead you to change this spring out. Overall, it's a very easy process, but you do need to be very careful because they do put a lot of glue on the base of that buffer tube plate, so it can be very difficult to actually get off. So forewarning on that. The stock spring is going to be shooting 420 feet per second on this model specifically. Now, it is fairly normal for the Kiwi rifles out of the box to be shooting a little bit higher of a velocity. And at 420 feet per second, that may be an issue for even some outdoor fields. You may need to spend a considerable amount of time shooting this rifle before that stock spring does come low enough. Obviously, if you want to shoot indoors, you need to completely change the spring instead of trying to compress that spring down, because it physically won't compress down to 350 feet per second or lower. You need to change that out. So what I saw with the velocity overall was shooting it through the chrono is I shot 50 total shots. Now the average was 420 feet per second. There was only a 3 FPS deviation with a maximum of 423 feet per second and a low of 417 feet per second. With your fluctuation of only 3 FPS up or down, that's really good. That's really good. That is very consistent on a little bit more basic of an internal system. These don't have the greatest of internal components either. Like I said, they're from KWA, so they're build them a little bit more basic, but the gearbox is physically built up. So they add a lot more material on the externals and a lot of the internals in order to make sure that it can deal with that heavier recoil. So great job on that. I haven't seen any of the AEG3 gearboxes crack or break at all for any reason. So phenomenal job on that. And even with adding more material to the gearbox, they still managed to make it to where you could drop a Gate Titan inside of here, as is proof here. Now, these T10s are not going to be coming with Gate Titans. That is something that would need to be a custom job, or if you can find a T10 with a Gate Titan that is not the special edition, more than likely it was a custom or made by a local retailer or shop. So that is current on the market as of August 13th, that there are no other T10s that are going to be coming with those Gate Titans. Staying internal, these are going to be 18-to-1 gear set. It is going to be the KWA high torque motor. I have no issues with these high torque motors at all. They do shoot a faster rate of fire. I have seen with lower tension of springs, these shoot up to 25 rounds a second. With the current stock springs, I think they're shooting anywhere from 16 to 18 rounds a second based on KWA's website. But if you put a lower tension spring inside of there, you can get that entire gear assembly to rotate over at a faster rate. That's kind of the overall trick to that if you don't want to dump a lot of money into upgrading to high speed internals. Is just lower your spring tension, make it so that the gears aren't working nearly as hard. We have a rotary style of hop-up unit like I showed you, which overall is a lot more consistent compared to having the old school side dial of hop-up units. So excellent job there, seeing that. A 11 3/4 inch inner barrel to sit inside of here. I don't know exactly what bore size they went with, but if I had to give an educated guess, it would be a 6.08 millimeter inner barrel. In my experiences with my T10, they did put a little bit more oil inside of that hop-up and inner barrel just to prevent it from rusting or drying out to the point where it would damage the rifle. So the first couple of shots that you put through it, or maybe the first mag and a half, you may see that the BBs are not hopping like they're supposed to. Or if you set the hop high, you may actually see where the BBs don't get any hop, and then as you continue to shoot, the BBs are dragging out that oil and now they're over hopping. You may see that on this model specifically. And internally, going back to what I said about the MOSFET, is they don't come with a MOSFET, but they do come with a anti-arcing diode that is connected to the bottom of the motor. So these connect to the motor, and this is a anti-arcing diode. This was kind of the MOSFET before the MOSFET. So we can safely run lithium batteries inside of here, especially 11.1s. Now I wouldn't suggest a 25 or 30C battery just to be on the safe side, just to keep from blowing fuses. But these will allow you to run your lithium ions or your lithium polymer batteries, you know, and you can have fun with it and it's not going to break. If you do decide to upgrade to a MOSFET, T-10 will fit inside there. No issues, no modification required. And then internally, that's it. But speaking of, well, internals but not internals, having to relate to the internals but not directly dealing with the internals, is going to be the accuracy overview. Just gonna quick throw it on here. So if you guys are not familiar, I do 3 sets of distances, 25, 50, and 100 feet. And I do 5 total shots with each distance. So at 25 feet, using just iron sights and .28 BBs, got a 5-shot group of about 2 inches, 2.5 inches. Very consistent at 25 feet, but with those irons, they're not perfect with Airsoft. So aiming for the center of the head, they did drop low. Then we kicked it out to 50 feet, aiming for center mass. And then we got to a 5-inch grouping distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So that was at 50 feet. Overall, still super, super consistent. And at 100 feet, we got all 5 shots on the silhouette. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, compared this paper target compared to a normal silhouette, right? It takes up my whole waist. So it's not a super accurate human-sized profile. So the fact that we were able to get all shots on target and not have any miss or even hit the border of the paper is pretty phenomenal. That overall is very, very great grouping size, especially considering that these are going to be a little bit more basic of inner barrels. So overall, phenomenal performance there. Some of the stuff that is going to be coming in the box is going to be your MS120 magazine. I think it's the MS120 magazine, which has the fake bullets and then the individual markers on the side here, so you can, you know, initial them or put whatever serial number you want on the magazines for individual identification. You know, it's a 120 round mid cap. You can't really go wrong. They're pretty comparable to the PTS EPM magazines, but I find that the PTS magazines are a lot more consistent and a lot more reliable overall, even compared to other brands of magazines. So I just am a little bit more biased towards those magazines. Other things that you will get inside of the box is your instruction manual. Inside of your instruction manual is going to come 2 M-Lock to Picatinny rail adapters, a bright pink warranty card, a little green piece of paper that says the instruction manual is available for digital download by visiting the website. And they do include a KWA sticker that you can throw onto your laptops or gun bags or your fridge, wherever you want. So those are coming back into the scene. Overall, with the KWA T10, I love this rifle system. I've been playing for several years now, 8 total years. Now granted, I don't get to hit the field nearly as often as I want to, because I am more dedicated to the retail side of things, right? I am managing a business, I am doing tech work for other people, and at the end of the day, I get a little tired of working on other people's guns, and I just want to go out and play when I find the time. So just plugging a battery into something and going and running around, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I don't want to put a lot of money and time into building up my own stuff if I spend all that time working on other people's stuff. So something that's going to work really well directly out of the box and is fun and delivers recoil, right? That's just a fun time overall. And I have really good performance. And you can probably tell by my model here is I've beefed mine up a little bit just externally. So I've got flashlight here. I've got the Fortis PTS grip here for a C-clamp. I do have the KWA textured M-LOK rail covers on the side here for just a little bit more texturing if it's wet outside. I do run the PTS EPM and EPM1 magazines. I have the T-10 inside of here, and I did change the trigger out for a retro arms flat trigger, which is meh. It looks more like the Magna Arms KWA gas blowback rifles from PTS, or PTS Mega Arms gas blowback rifles from KWA. So that's why I installed that, because it kind of looks like the gas blowback. I'm like, are you running a gas blowback? Because I see it bouncing on your shoulders. And I'm like, no, it's one of the electric recoils. So that's really cool. And it even comes with all the PTS furniture on here that I would want to run anyway. So overall, it's just a really solid package that is a great overall price point. With YouTube's terms of services and stuff like that and all of the analytical stuff, I can't say exactly what the price is. It is a little bit more compared to your middle-of-the-road rifle, but it's a solid rifle. And in my opinion, you are paying every penny towards a solid, reliable performance build. So I really recommend these very, very highly. So if anyone is further curious about these rifle systems or have any specific questions, go ahead and put them down in the comment section below. I've spieled on long enough about these that I think you guys should ask your questions down below, or even maybe go pick one up for yourself. I have a link down below as well that links towards my website. If you want to pick it up in black or tan, I did restock on both of those, but we're all done here. So you guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.